QuickDraw, QuickDraw. Let's sing songs about QuickDraw. QuickDraw, QuickDraw. Let's sing songs about QuickDraw. QuickDraw, QuickDraw. Let's sing songs about QuickDraw. Let's sing songs about and inspired by QuickDraw. QuickDraw is such fun. Everybody loves QuickDraw. Everybody loves QuickDraw because it's drawing so darn fast. It's drawing so fast, and it's drawn by John Weeks, and he makes everybody look like freaks. Yeah! QuickDraw, QuickDraw. Let's sing songs about QuickDraw. QuickDraw, QuickDraw. Let's sing songs about QuickDraw.
QuickDraw number 1 came out in 1995, drawn with a ballpoint pen, on lined paper, photocopied and stapled for your enjoyment, and sent out via the mail. The title was for Truth in Advertising. I'd seen professionals slave over their work. Comics professionals will spend a day on one page if they're really down for the process, maybe 2 pages a day. I did not have that luxury. I was out of school, applying to grad school, working temporary jobs, and I had a strong feeling that I needed to get something out there. I had some things I wanted to get off my chest, and this helped me get through that particular period. Just expressing myself. A friend of mine had passed away also during this time, and that just reinforced the idea that you can't polish your ideas forever. At some point you have to just fling them out to the wide world and see what the reaction is. So the title was as much truth in advertising as buyer beware. So the sense, once I had the printed copies in my hand, just fresh off the photocopier, and was mailing them out and getting replies, the sense of accomplishment, the sense of gratification was just off the scale. No matter how basic your work is, getting it out in your name, representing your thoughts, it's incredibly fulfilling. So I felt really good about it, inordinately good. That's the voice of inspiration calling. So yeah, you should go out and do the same thing. So it's important. I was surprised at how good I felt, and that my friends actually got what I'd drawn. And I came to realize that there is a kind of a narrative skeleton underneath the surface of the medium that kind of props up and facilitates telling stories, regardless of drawing skill. And I feel that invisible kind of formalism is potentially there in any comic, and I still place my faith in that. It's not far off from the same stuff I do now, what I did then. Some people might even say my style has gone downhill. Let them. I was just so over the moon. I just thought, I could get hit by a bus now. Peace out. I've done something I'm really proud of, inordinately proud of. Other people would choose other things to put on my CV, on my resume, on my letter of recommendation. But I was really just happy to hold this one close and to say, wow, look what we've done here. And I was ready for more. I thought, I'm having so much fun with this. I'm getting letters back and responses back from people. Break me off a piece of that. Let's do some more. Let's do another issue. I had no idea that 2 of the comics would be adapted into song, and one would be eventually redrawn and collected in an anthology of Dream Comics later on. But that's what you get when you take a leap of faith. Sometimes you get results, and that's one thing that's kept me going. I've been rewarded, some might say inordinately so, for the work that I've done. I've felt rewarded. It feels good for me. I feel it's like doing exercise, that glow that you get. It's like, yes, I finished another comic. Let's share it and send it out and see what people have to say. And so I'm a little bit addicted to that. And that keeps me going. So after that, sure, QuickDraw 2, bring it on. Let's go. Let's see if we can take this a little bit further. Setting the stage. My family was a nuclear family. I feel with each passing year more fortunate about, and don't take it for granted, about what I had. I have 1 sibling and 2 parents and a growing brood of nieces and nephews. We had Tintin. We had lots of collections of newspaper strips. We had the Addams Family and Mad Magazine, which many people will know was the road to perdition. My family did not really read narrative comics, but to be fair, you had to get them in a specialty store. You had to go to a comics ghetto, basically, to get these things. You had, and at the time, what did you have? You had Cerebus, Elfquest, the Third Kingdom. There was not a huge amount of diversity, maybe some collections of underground comics. And I really took to narrative comics, comics with long stories. I would get collections of newspaper comics and old strip comics in the library. And Dewey Decimal System 741. Go there now, get some comics for yourself for free. And so reading these, we had Tintin, I read Donald Duck, pretty much whatever I could get my hands on. I managed to get as diverse a comic diet as I possibly could. When I went to college, I spotted a small ad for a local poetry zine, and boom, that was my way into the world of zines. Once you got a copy of Fact Sheet 5, it was like the Google of the papernet, what I would like to call the world of small press back then. So I started reading them pretty voraciously, and started with poetry zines, moved on to all kinds of stuff, just reading. Subscribed to the Comics Journal. Was reading whatever I could get in my college library. I think I saw my first copy of How to Read Donald Duck at that time. I'm just kind of like, holy cow. Tintin, Donald Duck, they're both filthy imperialists. And really from childhood onward, I'd had this intuitive feeling that the world that I was living in had a flip side, had more aspects to it, and I wanted to uncover those however I could. So college reinforced that, gave me a bit of context, and worked at the campus radio station, DJ'd a fair bit, read a hell of a lot. I wanted to get a job when I got out of college. I really didn't want to end up working at a 7-Eleven like many of my pals who were older than me already were.
Trans-Pacific, forget it, take it from this for shooting. Get the word, wonder who believe in. What's wrong with what we did tonight? Wouldn't be the first time you were right.
I worked as an intern for Eclipse Comics in 1991, which helped land me a gig as a assistant editor at Dark Horse in the early 1990s, 92, 94, I believe it was. I handled the submissions slush file for both. That was a very interesting experience. You had to learn to be cruel and precise and clear. I've often thought about writing a book or some articles about the whole submissions process. There's some crazy things that happen, but most of these are actual people with actual lives and actual feelings, so have to be careful, really careful about that. When somebody sends in what they really deeply believe is their outpouring from their heart. So you got to be, you got to really just lay it on the line and say, this works, this doesn't, thank you, here's your self-addressed stamped envelope, goodbye. And maybe 1% of them would get picked. That was usually like a side gig in addition to the actual work of editing and getting comics out in whatever way possible. I met some amazing people at both jobs. You know who you are. Too many to name and give shout-outs. It would be a shout-out of like 5 minutes. I was editing comics during the day and getting small press goodies in the mail when I would come home to my little apartment. I was living at a nunnery in Portland at first, before I managed to get an apartment in the northwest Portland. So I was reading comics, doing manga during the day, which with Torrin Smith, and Studio Proteus, sadly departed now, but an amazing character, really self-motivated, really just a vibrant personality, and we're all poor for his not being around. He taught me a lot about manga in general. So this was manga before manga was cool. And I really felt privileged to be exploring this fascinating world and seeing some things about the language, the storytelling of manga, that really helped to highlight the contrast between Western and Eastern storytelling. So I'd come home in the evening and kind of digest what I'd done and read books like Jenny Zerbakis' Strange Growths, John Porcelino's King Cat, A Girl, Julie Doucet, anthologies. So I was, and the other people at work are conscious of these things too, but at the time the Xeric grants were just coming in. And so we saw the company balloon in size, and then the entire industry took a hit with the speculation frenzy of 1994. Imagine, if you will, selling junk bonds to 14-year-olds, which is pretty much what they were doing with these laminated foil first edition covers. So I really have a degree of antipathy towards Image Comics and what they did, because the knock-on effects really hit the entire industry, and including me. I was out of a gig in 1994, and for me, I just thought, okay, it's time to go to graduate school. I've done what I can. I need a change. To give you an example of this kind of thinking I was having at the time, at one point I was wearing a suit and a tie. I was repping the brand at WonderCon, and opposite us was a living room. The collective Puppy Toss from Berkeley had gotten furniture from, looked like an old Goodwill store. Maybe it was their own furniture, but they'd set up a little reading room with racks of comics, their own, lots of goodies, across the aisle from us. I thought, you know, that looks pretty nice. Wouldn't mind being on that in that space. And little did I know that in less than 2 years, I would be in that space.
Chah ai to na hơi nâng đam tam nung khai mai cả nâng tam sarika mình về nâng tam nung khai mai cả nâng tam sarika mình về
chừng rật vật chia pi xe khai ai che chia tràn chim non chừng rật đầy vật chia ngành chiếng mê mòn hà tâm ron ra hàng toàn chết chuyện này vì chỉ môi nâng tâm sân khâm ta ngành bất bất អាហារខ្មែរដ៏ប្រណិតបរទេសក៏ចូលចិត្តម្ហូបឆ្ងាញ់ពិសា
As an undergrad, I'd done for my hippie major, Modern Society and Social Thought, I'd done a thesis on Cambodia and its representation in the media. For me, it was an interesting touchstone as to how wrong Westerners could see another country. And I kept finding reasons to come back to the issues that were refracted through this kind of prism. So I thought about going to grad school in Asian Studies, follow this up. I'd gotten good grades and just rewarded for expressing this interest as an undergrad. I talked to one guy who's a specialist, and he said, no, don't study Khmer. Knowing me, I was off like a shot. I was like, oh yeah. So I applied to the Southeast Asian Summer Studies Institute, and I got a tuition fellowship. And in the summer of 1995, I was on my way to Madison, Wisconsin to take my first year of Khmer. Other people were stressing out at the load of 4 hours a day of homework and 4 hours a day of class study. I was loving the change of pace. I was in heaven. I love being in school. I love being in an atmosphere of learning, and I don't really have any desire to be a teacher or a professor, but to me that's one of the happiest places you can be. So I was really happy to be there. I have some lifelong friends that I'm still in touch with from this amazing class who are linguists, Buddhist scholars, academics, political theorists, you name it. You go through one of those things, it's a crucible, and you end up forging some strong ties of friendship. Then after that, I went through a kind of brief period, it felt like years to me, of applying to graduate schools. Monash University in Australia said, hey, you've got a year of Khmer under your belt? We'll cut you some slack on tuition. Listen, come on over. You know, you can do your MA here. We have a program that specializes in Cambodia stuff. I'm like, yeah, goes to Australia? I think I can do that. So that was not really a hard decision to make. I was really happy to go for it.
Colon cancer is one of the most preventable and treatable forms of cancer when it's found early. Oh yeah. Colon cancer starts with very few, if any, outward symptoms. That's why it's important to get screened early. Do it now. Colon cancer typically begins as slow-growing little polyps that can turn into cancer. So you gotta get checked. Yes, you've gotta get checked. If you've got symptoms or you got high risk, get checked in your rectum. Oh yes, so you gotta get checked. Yes, you've gotta get checked. If you've got symptoms or you got high risk, get checked in your rectum. Oh yes. There are many things you can do to help prevent colon cancer from coming for you. Exercise and eat right. Don't smoke and get lots of sleep at night. But you gotta also know your family history. And if there's colon cancer there, you gotta get that colonoscopy. Yeah, colon cancer typically begins as slow-growing little polyps that can turn into cancer. So you gotta get checked. Yes, you've gotta get checked. If you've got symptoms or you got high risk, get checked in your rectum, oh yes. So you gotta get checked. Yes, you've gotta get checked. If you've got symptoms or you got high risk,